Gentlemen, it's time to talk about the NFC South. I'm sorry in advance to everybody that you have to listen to, unfortunately, a breakdown of the NFC South because even like some sexy Atlanta moves aside, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to really look at. So where are we at, guys?
Yeah,
Go I'll go.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
All right, so we actually got this spot on right, like pick for pick on this one. So we both have Atlanta and Tampa Bay at 9-8. New Orleans at 6-11, and Carolina at 3-14. I think Atlanta is going to take this division. I think the addition of Kirk Cousins, along with Raheem Morris as the new head coach, is really just the recipe needed for success for all those skill positions up there. You know, it's been 2-3 years now that we've been trying to bank on this Atlanta skill position thing ever since Kyle Pitts got there, essentially. And it just hasn't come to fruition yet. But now with Kirk Cousins coming in there and actually a quarterback that can get them the weapons, I think Atlanta at 9-8 and division champion is good.
Even drawing up plays for those skill positions at all would be an improvement.
Is a one-up from what they were last year, which is funny because it's Arthur Smith, who was just the offensive coordinator you were raving about. But
strange. But I mean, he was always a good offensive coordinator, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those things that I think there's such different jobs. I mean, this point has been talked out by everybody, but I think there's such different jobs that it's like you could be really talented at one and not necessarily talented at the other. I think like I would imagine it's a little overwhelming to really think about play calling, like play to play, if you're the head coach. You know, like that's a lot to do in one job. So fair enough.
And Tampa Bay, I don't know. I wanted to get them to 10 wins. I really did. But I just don't know if I can believe in Baker Mayfield to get above that 10-win mark again. I think 9-8 is a perfect spot for both these teams. Ray, you want to take New Orleans and Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, listen, New Orleans has gone through, more transitions, than my high school the last year, right? It's amazing how much turnover has happened over there. So, between Spencer Rattler and Chris Olave, and I think Michael Thomas is still there, and obviously Alvin Kamara, but some skill positions are still decent there. But overall, that team is just not where they need to be. And, it's going to take a while for them to get back to where they were during the Brees and Payton era. So, yeah, I just don't think that they're just going to be that good. But because that division always beats each other up, and, like, they'll win a few games they're not supposed to win, and that's what happens. As far as Carolina, I mean, once again, you can't get much worse than what you were last year, which is why I had them just winning. We had them winning 3 games because they'll win a couple of games, and you're just like, oh, how do they, find a way to get this? Hopefully, Bryce Young is a little bit better than he was.
Still in such a bad situation, though, dude. I feel almost bad for the fucking kid.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who's another fan of SC, I mean, I don't feel bad for him, but I mean, I just think that he could do a little bit better.
I don't think he's good. Like, I don't think he could. I don't think you could put him in a position like some of the things that you see him do are so rudimentary, like level mistakes, and like the way. Yeah. Like his footwork and athleticism, it's just I don't think it's like at the NFL level that people.
Yeah, he's in the.
I just feel bad because there's no way to really know, right?
Right. Well, I mean, right now, once again, it's only a year, but obviously we have to see what he does this year and even next year. But right now, he's in the AJ McCarron, Gray McElroy category right now with Alabama bust at quarterback. So, and obviously they've had a nice run lately. To obviously, we know Mac Jones what he ended up becoming in the league. But yeah, it's just like, they haven't been known to produce great, quarterbacks at that position. So, we're going to see if he turns it around, but we're not going to find out this year. I promise you won't.
It'd be great if he got to a Jake Plummer level. I think that would be,
great news for them at this point. He's awesome. He had our number.
Jake the Snake reference. I like.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a millennial podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for those. I was young once. Yeah, I mean, I like your assessment of these teams, to be honest with you. I was actually pretty close in my kind of scribbled down predictions for these NFC divisions. The Panthers are obviously turgid. The Saints, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the Saints too. I always like kind of fall into the Saints trap where I'm like, but Olave's good, or like, like, oh, Alvin Kamara, like, come on, and then you're staring down the barrel of like they're struggling to get to 11th, and it's just like, all right,
the Saints are definitely one of those teams that you always think are going to be better than they are because of the past, for sure.
Right. Yeah. You have a little bit of a legacy thing built up in your head with them because you're like, I don't know, like for like half our lives, they were good every single year. So it's like, and like, it was always a tough place to go. And it was like, and then all the Katrina happened and everyone's like, oh yeah, the Saints are good.
Right. Right now they're at where we were as kids, right? So, and this is post Ricky Williams. So, Aaron Brooks, Bruce McAllister, Jerome Morton.
Aaron Brooks. Nice.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
Mike
that's
Vick's cousin.
now. Say it again.
Mike Vick's cousin.
Mike Vick's, yeah. So that's what we are right now with them. And once again, Dennis Allen is like another Jim Haslett. So that's kind of where they are. They're in that transition. And once again, they had some guys that eventually became good players elsewhere, but they were kind of in limbo in the early 2000s as a team. So I think that's kind of where they are now before they got Brees and got Reggie Bush and the rest of the crew. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they have some building blocks going into this year for the future.
Mike, what do you make of these assessments? Any hard disagreements on these 4 teams?
No, I think that division is going to be trash, like it has been since Brees and Brady left it.
It's a little better overall, right? Than last year.
I think the improvements that Atlanta made. I don't really know.
This show shitting on that division last season. Like we really were hard.
Well, yeah.
This season with this, we're a little bit more like, I mean, I don't know. They suck still, kind of.
But just think about it though. Like all the additions that the Falcons made, and they just agreed at 9-8.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Shows you the division right there.
Right.
And also, like, people are a little too high on Atlanta, like across the board. Like, I'm just hearing, like, people are coming in on like the Atlanta could be a sexy team like 1 year too late. Like last year, we were like, I don't know, like they got like some guys, we could see what they can do. And Kirk's coming off a bad injury.
Is the real deal. Drake London's pretty good. Once again, on paper, but that's how it's always been, right? Like it's always been on paper. Listen, they had Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Devontae Freeman, MVP.
Yeah, they made it to the Super Bowl and like won the first half.
Like you know what I'm saying? So just like they were, so I mean they
were good.
They've had some teams down there in our lifetime that, once again, they've come a long way from where they were. So I don't know. But I mean, like I said, I don't, but we'll see. Once again, when you give a guy 180, he better find a way to deliver, 35 or not. You better figure it out. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do down there.
Coming off an Achilles too. So,
exactly. So we'll see.
I mean, there's got to be like
if Michael Penix isn't good this year, they're in trouble.
The capital that I think the Minnesota Vikings spent with their fan base by letting Kirk Cousins go, I think tells you that maybe they know something. They're not idiots in Minnesota. Like I wouldn't classify them as like very stupid. Like they had some unlucky things go on, but like they've put together a pretty decent team there, despite like the NFC meme war that I'm like constantly reading about. But it's like at the end of the day, they let him walk. It's a serious injury. You can't get to 10 or 11 wins with this team, even with the skill positions. Like it just makes sense. I would pump their numbers up only with the logic of look at all the teams they played twice. Like that's the only thing that like this like kind of reads to me as. But I think it's a safe bet because like you're begging a team that historically, regardless, like the overall point being, regardless of the amount of skill position players we see, those guys have been there in different iterations and different eras. And in this iteration, to be quite honest, like minus Kirk Cousins, and they didn't really get it done. So yeah, I'm a little burned by them. We'll see. I'm in the same boat. We'll see that like what they can do this year. I mean, I don't think it'd kill you to like get that prediction wrong, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty close.